Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I've got another of my exciting shows for you today. What is on the agenda is I've got two new companies that I've started to cover closely, and I wanted to introduce them to you today. The first one we're going to talk about is North Peak Resources, and why I like North Peak is because they're involved in the Eureka, Nevada. Now, what has me very excited about Eureka, Nevada is there's been some discoveries there that I think are making this one of the most important exploration parts of Nevada, and quite possibly in the entire world. I know that's a very big statement, but I'll get into why I think that's the case. First of all, what brought me my interest to this area is I-80 Gold. I-80 Gold is a sponsor of my shows, and they made a discovery called Ruby Deeps that you can see right here. And it was very exciting. The Ruby Deeps has very thick intersections of high-grade gold for a underground bulk mining operation, and it itself is looking like a world-class deposit. Now, this hole you see here is the Archimedes pit, and this was a former producer by either Newmont or Barrick. Sorry, I can't off the top of my head remember, but there was a pit wall failure here, and this oxide open pit was closed. Subsequently, I-80 Gold got their hands on the project. They drilled Ruby Deeps and have had excellent results from that. Now, closer to the pit and higher up in the system is their 426 zone. They've also found other zones relating to this gold discovery that they have. So this got me very excited, and but what has really caught the imagination of many is this CRD, bonanza grade CRD that they found down in this area. And what's interesting about that is, if you look at the metal value in the rock, you're looking at grades or values of 1,000 to even over 5,000 on a regular basis from that deposit. So that makes it some of the highest grade on metal value in the ground of any discovery anywhere in the world, let alone Nevada. And to, take the position as one of the great new discoveries in Nevada is pretty big statement, but that's what makes it so exceptional. And then at the same time that I-80 Gold was making this discovery, a company called Paycore, which was also a sponsor of my shows, they made their another bonanza grade CRD discovery, very similar to I-80 Gold's, here at Ruby Hill, where there was some past production as well. And so it's a very exciting area. Really, here's the town of Eureka. So you've got road access, network of roads going all through here. So really great place to make a important discovery. So then I-80 Gold in the past few months has taken over Paycore. So now I-80 Gold owns this big package of ground here. And then if you follow a little further down is the Eureka Tunnel. Now that's owned by a company called Golden Lake Exploration. And there's a news release out that affects all three of these companies, I-80 Gold, Golden Lake, and North Peak. So then you look down here, and North Peak has this diamond tunnel portal, which is right in this area, and a network of underground mining had happened here. So this area was very well known for high-grade CRD deposits because it started mining in the 1860s and that lasted through to the 1960s. But then it kind of, the focus in your Nevada turned more towards the open pit oxide deposits. And it kind of went dormant for a lot of years until i-80 Gold and Paycore started to have a lot of success. And so some things that I would point out here is that you can see a network of faulting that comes off of this area. And that network of faulting continues all the way down into here in similar type rock packages. And so this whole area has had a significant amount of historical mining. And that seems to be the sort of plan to, or a recipe for success here. You go to where there was historical mining here, historical mining here, historical mining here, historical mining here, then you follow these structures, and that's what makes this area the recipe for success. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing here for a moment, and I'm going to switch over to another screen. And where is it? Here, let's start with this one. So we'll share that. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Sorry about that. Just give me 2 seconds here and I'll get this next one up for you. And so I'm going to go to this news release because this one is the one that affects all of these companies that I'm very bullish on in this Eureka account. So Golden Lake announced that together Golden Lake, i-80 Gold, and North Peak are commencing a collaborative drone magnetic survey on their respective properties in South Eureka Gold Belt. So down here, this shows you better some of the deposits and what's happening. So you've got Ruby Deeps identified, 426. Here's some of the historical mining at the Bullwhacker mine and the Holly mine. And this hilltop is where they're finding the new CRDs. And earlier I showed you where there's a series of faulting that comes down here. So you follow the faulting and then you run into the FAD deposit, the historical Ruby Hill mine, and then you keep following that faulting. And you come across, here is the highlighted Golden Lake with all the historical mining that was done on it. And then you have the diamond mine down here. Okay. So they're collaborating and they're getting onto this high resolution drone magnetic survey from a drone, which provides excellent tool for mapping rock types. You know, what makes these drone geophysical programs so interesting is those drones can get very close to the surface. So it's different than a helicopter survey. You want to get closer to the ground, and this enables you to get better resolution at depth. And so they talk about this South Eureka belt as well. And some of the holes, this is in the case of Golden Lake. So, you know, this is very reminiscent of what you see at the Hilltop discovery that i-80 Gold has made high-grade gold, high-grade silver, lead, zinc, and nice thick intersections. Okay, so that's the backdrop of why I like Eureka and what these three companies are doing together. Now let's go to North Peak because I want to go to their property section, and it really shows you something that's quite spectacular. Now you remember earlier on in the on when we were looking at Google Earth, I showed you where that diamond tunnel was. And then this green stuff is all your places where there was historical mining. So I think it's 11 square kilometers of underground workings that they have. And what's very good about that situation is that these are above the water table, so you don't have to worry about water in them. And they can be used for sampling, they can be used for underground mining. And the big thing they can be used for is an indication that there was a lot of historical mining here. And if you look at some of the values that were reported from that historical mining, it was very valuable rock. You know, $1 to $500 a ton kind of rock back when gold was trading at 25 bucks an ounce or so. So you're looking at some very high grade material was being mined in here. And they're in that network of, you know, where you can find these exceptional CRDs. And they mentioned that they're looking for two styles. You've got, well, three styles actually. You've got the gold only Carlin style mineralization, carbonate replacement deposits, which are your CRD mineralization, and carbonate hosted porphyry related skarn, lead, zinc, and gold mineralization. So it's in an excellent area, and it has all the key ingredients that i-80 Gold and Paycore have, and this is widespread underground mining. So then you look at the recent news release, and North Peak closes $2 million private placement, strategic work programs, and airborne geophysics surveys launched at Prospect Mountain Silver Gold Lead Mine Complex in Eureka, Nevada. It launched a range of work programs on the Prospect Mountain, located in the Battle Mountain Eureka Trend. What they're really doing is they're cranking up to get drilling. Here's a quote from Brian Hinchcliffe. He says, on the Diamond Mine's main 7,800 level, LiDAR surveys and comprehensive mapping has been completed, but it is the airborne geophysics surveys and the mid-June channel sampling which result with a gravity survey will direct the drilling program both underground and on surface. Strategic underground drilling programs will be developed and executed from these data acquisition programs, which also help identify gold surface drilling targets, end quote. There's another quote from Ty Erickson, who says, we are excited to see these exploration programs launched against the background of the polymetallic discovery success by others in the Eureka district. These modern exploration programs will greatly complement the work we undertook establishing Prospect Mountain's permitting profile over the years. Then they give you some more details about the property, and lots of good information there that I would suggest you take a look at. So now I wanted to, before I stop talking about the company, I wanted to go to this About Us section, and let's take a look at some of the people that are involved with the company. Brian Hinchcliffe, involved in founding and mining projects in natural resource sector for 30 years, working with Harry Dobson. They were the co-founders of Kirkland Lake Gold, which was a huge success. The success for that was from the Fosterville mine in Australia, made him one of the lowest cost producers, and ultimately led to a multi-billion-dollar takeover of the company. He's also the formerly executive chairman and CEO of Rupert Resources, and co-founder of American Pacific Mines. He was with Goldman Sachs in New York and London in the mining and metals sector for many years. And Rupert Resources is having a lot of success in Finland. I really like that company as well. So Mike Sutton, who's a director, his career spans over 40 years as an exploration geologist, which included founding of Kirkland Lake with Mr. Hinchcliffe and Mr. Dobson. He was the exploration and production geologist at Kirkland Lake Gold. He was awarded the Prospector of the Year in Ontario for this discovery of the South Mine Complex. He's a director of Rupert Resources. He's also a director of Galway. Then there's, so this company has a very strong team that has put this company together and now have put their focus on Eureka, Nevada. These guys know how to find mines. They know how to build mines. They know how to finance. They have a very attractive share structure. They're doing these geophysical work and the underground sampling in the mining complex so that they can really hit the ground running when they start drilling, which I would imagine should be in the next month to 2 months. So yeah, I'm really impressed with what I see from North Peak Resources, getting into one of my favorite areas in Nevada and quite possibly in the entire world, which is this Eureka camp. And lots has been found there so far, and I think these guys got a very great chance of finding something quite spectacular as well. So that's the North Peak Resources story. Next, I'm going to move on to Delta Resources. And here's their most recent news release. Delta announces the start of a 20,000-meter drill program and mobilizes a second drill rig at their Delta-1 property in Thunder Bay, Ontario. This new drill program is in addition to the 5,000 meters program announced on April 24th, which is currently underway and nearing completion. So obviously they're going to be doing a lot of drilling. Both programs are designed to expand the current mineralized zone along strike and at depth, while testing property scale targets with similar geological and geophysical signatures at the Eureka Gold Zone. Andre Tessier is the president and CEO, and he commented, and I quote, "This is a very exciting time at Delta and at the Delta-1 property. Delta's recent closing of a $10 million bought deal financing has provided us with the resources needed to further expand the gold zone while thoroughly exploring the property at large, where many exploration targets remain untested. We anticipate getting the initial results from our current drill program shortly and look forward to the many anticipated results to come with this accelerated program." End quote. So now let's take a little look at the Delta-1 project. It covers 60 square kilometers. It's 50 kilometers west of Thunder Bay, Ontario, where a gold mineralized zone of 1,500 meters long was outlined through drilling in a multi-kilometer scale intense alteration halo. Why the alteration halo is so important is that when the gold-bearing fluids hit the country rock, they chemically alter that country rock. And so when you have a big alteration halo, it's a pretty good indication that you've got a big gold mineralizing system. And then they mentioned that best grades to date include drill intercepts of 5.92 grams per ton gold over 31 meters, including 14.8 grams per ton gold over 11.9 meters. They had a 2.06 gold over 65 meters, including 4.23 grams per ton gold over 26.2 meters. And this is the one that really got my attention. Bonanza grades of up to 1.6 kilograms per ton of gold and 697 grams per ton of gold over 1 meter. The zone extends to surface and is open in all directions. Then they, at their Delta-2 and VMS, they've got two Delta-2 projects. One is in VMS and the other is in gold. And that covers 194 square kilometers in the prolific Chibougamau district of Quebec. The property holds excellent potential for gold-rich polymetallic VMS deposits, as well as hydrothermal gold deposits. Delta targets VMS deposits such as the Laboucan past producer, where 0.76 million tons were mined between 1975 and 1983, grading 9.6% zinc, 4.2% copper, 4.5 grams of gold, and 85 grams of silver. Okay, so that gives you some background. Their key project would be the Delta-1 project, but this Delta-2 VMS and the Delta-2 gold are also very exciting projects as well. And so here we'll go to their corporate presentation, and it gives you some more details on all three of those various targets. Okay, there's their disclaimer about forward-looking statements. Delta-1 is over here by Thunder Bay. Delta-2 is over here by Chibougamau. That's the VMS in the gold area. And then they have the Bellicasey, Timmins Gold NSR. So these are the Delta-1 gold and the Delta-2 gold and VMS are the big stories here. So here you can see Delta-1 gold property, Thunder Bay, Ontario. You're looking at some very nice core there. This is a surface expression where you can see veining. It's quite interesting. Here you've got the regional geology, and these hatched lines here give you the key structures. And as you can see, you've got structures here and right below it going bordering sort of the north end of their claims and going right through their claims, and some key geology there. It's in the Shabandawan greenstone belt, so you've got those very old rocks that are important for a lot of orogenic gold systems are found in those. Their project covers 17 kilometers of that greenstone belt. It's in the same geological setting as Gold Shore's Moss Lake gold deposit, which is 121 million tons at a 1.1 gram gold near surface, which equates to 4.17 million ounces and a cutoff grade of 0.4 grams per ton. They say that the property has been poorly explored. Total of 42 drill holes, with 25 drilled prior to 1981 and 20 drilled on a copper nickel targets in 1956 to 1969. The property has been dormant since 2003, but it's certainly not dormant anymore. Alrighty, so here you can see where they've taken some trench sampling and got excellent grades. Here you can actually see the working of that trenching and stripping. Lots of gold throughout the system. I would note that you can see some good gold distribution near this fault here and here as well. So that's a good indicator that this is related to the faulting, these deep cracks in the earth that help those gold-bearing fluids to make their way up. And as they mentioned here, deep crustal scale structures. These are the hallmarks, greenstone belt and deep crustal structures with extreme high grade are all indicators of are sort of the checkbox of what you want to look in for an orogenic gold system. Okay, now they show you here where they're hitting the gold and the various different grades. Over here you've got 9.62 grams of gold over 1.5 meters, 1.7 over 5 meters, 1.3 over 6, 6.2 over 1.5 meters, 0.9 grams of gold over 20 meters, 0.97, 0.73 over 23 meters, 0.64 over 27 meters. Then you start looking at over here on the eastern side, 5.92 grams per ton of gold over 31 meters, including 14.8 grams per ton of gold over 11.9 meters, including 72.95 grams of gold over 2.2 meters. Also in here, you've got 6.49 meters over 10, 6.49 grams of gold over 10 meters, 30 grams of gold over a meter, 130 grams of gold over a meter. So as they go over here to the east is where they're getting richer gold, and it's starting to really spark up and show some exceptional stuff in their drilling. I'm going to expand the size of this so we can look at these cross sections a little bit better. As you can see, there's very good gold distribution throughout this portion of the hole. You also see that same sort of situation over here. Yeah, good continuity of these zones. I'm going to zoom out here so we can read this stuff a little bit. So this is the Western Eureka section, holes 10, 11, and 12. And this is the Eureka Eastern section of holes 9 and 18. The zones strike east to west and dip 50 degrees towards the north in the western portion of the zone. In the eastern portion of the zone, drilling indicates a steep dip of 80 degrees towards the north. The zone has been intersected in drill hole for a strike length of over 1,200 meters and a vertical depth of 220 meters. So they're still very high in the system. And you've sort of got this, as they show here, this widespread gold mineralization over 1.2 kilometers. But in this eastern part, they're really, things are really kicking up high. And you get over on the western side, the dip is about 40 degrees. And then over on the eastern side, you've got almost a vertical or 80-degree dip and continuity there. So, the more I read about this, the more I start thinking that this has serious characteristics that are similar to a orogenic gold system. Delta-1 Resources project drilling at Eureka. So they're really going to roll up their sleeves. Here's the plans of where they're going to drill. This is they'll give you a cross section here. So, sorry. There you can see where they're getting that nice high-grade gold distribution over here to on the eastern side. And again, here you can see the high-grade gold in these these hits here. They've also got very high grades. The red is a metal factor of over 40. So that's a multiplication of the grade times the width. So they got good high grade here, 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 here. As you can see, they get some quartz mixing in there with the country rock, which is, so they're not really hitting the primary quartz vein yet, but getting these exceptional high grades. And then here is the planned drill holes, proposed drill holes, phase 1 of 2023. So as you can see, they're really starting to fill in around where they've got that high grade gold intersections. Here you can see the geophysics. This is the total mag map, which these are your low mag readings. And here is where they've been hitting. So they've still got a lot of runway to keep going, and that's sort of, I think, where their drilling's gonna lead them. Again, here you can see some nice gold or some nice quartz there. and there's some visible gold right there. This is quartz, anchorite, pyrite, gold veinlet. So you can just see a little bit of a quartz there. Some more quartz here, highly altered volcanics. Three of the veinlets are responsible. So you're getting this very high grade in just little veinlets. So they're not even into the primary vein yet, and that really says a lot about the potential of finding. They start tagging the bigger zones of quartz, and this you can also see some pyrite veinlets in there. Black matrix of breccia, so you've got the broken up rock, and the quartz is making its way into that broken up rock. So you're still very high in the system, and there's no wonder they were able to raise $10 million in a bought deal financing, and I'm pretty optimistic that they've got something quite spectacular at their Delta-1. So then I'll just quickly talk about their part 2, which is Delta-2, and the hunt for the Lemoine Mine 2.0. It's the Delta VMS property in Chibougamau. As you can see here, there's some very nice sulfides in the drill core and in their surface sampling. They give you an idea where that, there's the Lemoine project, Corner Bay is over here. So, you know, this is the Cartier Gold Ridge VMS project, and look at the grades here: 4.2% copper, 9.6% zinc, 4.5 grams of gold, 83 grams of silver. Corner Bay is 7.2 million tons at 3% copper and 0.26% or grams of gold. So, you know, in these VMS camps, where you find one, you often find a cluster. And so far, in close proximity to them, they've got VMS deposits with very high grades of copper in them. So these are copper-rich VMSs, and then when you find copper-rich VMSs, you usually find good amounts of gold in them as well. There's your VMS. Second highest grade mine in Canada was only second only to the Eskay Creek mine, which made it within top 1% of all VMSs worldwide. And I'll go back. Well, okay, so here you can see some sulfides in the core. Okay, 3 important facts to remember about VMS deposits. There are many VMS deposits in the world, and they are almost invariably occur in clusters. So when we see Lemoine sitting there all by itself, we have to ask, where's the rest of the cluster? VMS deposits typically occur on a near certain stratigraphic horizons. Here, this perspective horizon is the Wikinichi, and Delta-2 covers about 25 kilometers of it. Within these VMS camps, there's a very typical size distribution of these deposits, ranging from several small deposits in the 1 million ton range, all the way to the one giant deposit in the range of 100 million tons or more. Lemoine, being at the smaller end of the spectrum, leads us to believe the larger deposits are left to find. So not only are they looking for a cluster of VMS deposits, they also feel the potential that the biggest ones in that cluster have not been found yet. Here's some geological data. There's Lemoine. This is the right horizon here that they talk about. Cartier Gold Rich VMS prospect is right there. They give you a lot of good details. Here's your geophysics. So you're seeing some very distinct geophysical anomalies. that give you some good ideas when you overlay that with your structures and your geophysics and your geology. This is what makes for, as they say, vectoring in towards economic sulfide mineralization. Zinc enriched sulfides here, fault zone there, gold and silver enriched sulfides here, exhalative zone horizon there, copper enriched sulfides over here. So yeah, it's an excellent VMS target. And then they've got this Delta-2 gold exploration project also in Chibougamau. Here you show you some of the interesting looking drill core. They did stripping here and they exposed the bedrock, which you can see some quartz veining in there. They also did a LiDAR survey, and this gives you an idea of the structures that are going through there. So very complex structural regime there, or environment there. That's a good place to look for gold. And as you can see, they hit a lot of high grade gold here, 18 grams, 50 grams, 27 grams, 106 grams of gold, 12 grams, 12 grams, 56 grams, 12 grams. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. These are completed in 2021 and 2022, 22 drill holes. And here's their planned drilling. So they're, as you can see, they're focusing in on these faults that are lineaments. That are, you know, the structures that can control the gold mineralization. So they're planning a bunch of holes there as well. There's their cap table. So you can see they don't have a lot of 110 million fully diluted. There's that nice outcrop that bedrock that they've shown with some nice some nice veining or some nice mineralized zones in there. They're financing 2.5 million, but then they did that big raise. The people that are involved, they started back here in 2019 as a public company, recently had a pretty significant breakout based on that remarkably high grade gold. This would have been an previous drilling successes on their other projects. So they've got a lot to really wrap their hands around and get active and aggressive. They've got lots of money now. So they're going to be cranking up the drill rig, looking for that super high grade, as well as expanding on the known mineralization at Delta-1. I also am very optimistic about their Delta-2 VMS and their Delta-2 gold projects as well. So as always, my shows are for information purposes only. It's important for you to do your homework, speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decision. I've sort of run you through what I look for when I am doing my homework. I'm a junkie for high-grade gold. Both these companies have high-grade gold. So yeah, as always, do your homework. This is for information purposes only. Contact the companies, reach out to them, and yeah, check them out. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.